get together with thought leaders and we talk about the trends that are happening in the world, and we think of life from a mind, body, and spirit perspective, because that's what servant leaders do. So join me. We have quite an agenda tonight. So for the first hour, I'm going to basically give you the background for your project for the class. I've also invited a few friends here who are going to represent the Association of Business Technology Professionals for you. They're also your clients for this class. So your project is 60% of your grade. 20% is the proposal that you'll do in about a month to these gentlemen and the people that are online. And then 40% is your final proposal or the final presentation, which is your recommendation from a digital transformation perspective on the product that we're going to be looking at. Okay, so I'll ask, can you guys give just like a 30-second background of who you are and what you do? Sure. Vinny, we'll ask you to go first.
All right. I don't know if people on screen can see me, but
you just look up at that.
I'll just look over there. So let me see this way. This is better.
That's fine.
Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Vinny Rao. I've been in the technology space for almost 30 years now, and being in the technology space, I've been in many industries: retail, airlines, banking, and payments. And along the journey that I started as a developer and then moved on to more of the management leadership roles. Very excited to be here as a member of the Association for Business and Technology Professionals. I've known Mike, one of the most brilliant minds that I think I've worked with. He always makes me think differently. So it's a good opportunity for us to be able to see what you guys are going to bring forward and help us set up an organization that it would be. And it'd be really good to see from your perspective, right? So we grow along in our careers and we start to build our orgs, we design our orgs in a way that we feel is right for the times. But to hear something different from people in the middle of getting into a career path, it's going to help a lot.
Awesome. And then Randall Mills, CEO of Ant Farm Systems Integration.
Yeah, hi, my name is Randall Mills. I am the CEO of a development company called Ant Farm Development Services. I, like you, have sat in class and finished my MBA at UTD. I retired from Citigroup, so I've been in oil and gas and banking in the IT field. Sat on the credit committee in New York for 3 years, and that encouraged me to jump out and do my own thing. So I've been CEO of Ant Farm for 15 years and love working with Mike, probably known him over 10 years, both in a couple IT associations, and we're both on the board of ABTP.
Yep. Thank you very much, Randall. Bill, are you able to turn on your video or would you prefer not to?
I'd prefer not to. I'd probably scare them to death.
Okay, so can you give them a little bit of your background and who you are?
Well, you got about 20 minutes.
So we need.
Bill, you need more.
I'm Bill Fly, and I have been in IT for about more than 55 years, and I'm now retired, and I'm a adjunct professor at Dallas College, and I teach Python and Java classes. And I was a member of ABTP and its predecessor associations for over 50 years. And I've known Mike since, I don't know, probably for 10 years or more. And
it's a little longer than that, but that's okay.
Time just passes by, and when you're retired like me, you can't keep track of the passage of time. So that's me. I started back when the computers filled entire rooms and needed air conditioning and a raised floor to operate. So I'm an old timer.
An oldie but a goodie, as we like to say. All right,
Okay.
Glenn, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, is that for me, Mike?
Let's go with Glenn, and then I'll ask you, Harish.
Sure.
Thanks, sir.
Hey, everybody. My name is Glenn Evans. I've been in IT for a little over 20 years, healthcare industry in oil and gas, and now my current role, back in August is when it began, I'm the Assistant Director of Systems Operations there at DBU. Also took Mike's class last semester. I'm in the MS ITM program, just like you guys are. And, you know, we really enjoyed Mike's class. And so I would encourage you guys to gain all the wisdom that you can from Mike. He's got a lot to share. So, yeah, that's basically who I am.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Harish.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. My name is Harish Rajagopalan, and about 23 years selling technology. I've been working with the manufacturing, retail verticals, and I'm currently the vice president of a company called Aspire Systems, managing the retail vertical for North America, helping customers in their transformation journey, and excited to be part of it. And I also been knowing Mike for close to 10 years now, and being part of ABTP as well for quite some time.
Definitely. All right, Bersabeh, last but not least.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Bersabeh Alemu, and I currently work and I have been working within environmental EHS and product regulatory compliance for a little over 10 years. And I have just completed my MBA here at DBU. And Mike was my last class. And it definitely was, I've had an amazing experience at DBU. What I loved about DBU is I never felt like a number like I did for my bachelor's degree. And the most important focus for me, it was bringing in Christ and his way of thinking or seeing and making those relevant for, you know, the way that we do work. And Mike definitely embodies that and everything that he brings to you, and he actually forces you to think. I really loved his class. He forces you to think things bigger and deeper, and kind of question the beliefs that you already have set. So, which is definitely the way that I love thinking and kind of leading my life. So I enjoyed the class. I am excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So Bersabeh and Glenn was actually the manager of the deliverable that you'll see. So, but in last semester was my first time teaching this class. So there's nobody here that's in my product management class at 8 o'clock tonight, right? I think it's totally separate classes. Okay, so they're getting what these guys got last time. Basically, last semester I was thinking through out loud what I thought about digital transformation, and these guys and gal were instrumental in defining with me what the definition was. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys what our definition is until we've gone through most of the material this year. We're gonna go through the same process of struggle on how we actually define what digital transformation is. We're reading some 15 books, right? So we're going to get a lot of authors' input into it. And you're going to get a lot of my methodology, which is from a human dynamics perspective. It's ontological. And ontology, for those of you who were here last class, a lot of what we talked about last time was what our beliefs are and where we come from and those kinds of things. Those are ontological. Those are the first things studied. Who you are makes a big difference on what you're going to be because being is a growth thing. It can change every day, right? So, anyway, Glenn has already accepted to be on the board of ABTP International. Bersabeh is thinking about it because she has small children and there are a bunch of things going on in her life. But I really hope, Bersabeh, by the end of the day today that you'll decide that you would like to do that. All right, so there are some new people that came in the room. I'm going to ask you to hold, we're going to do an introduction at the end of 6:30 whenever I've done the introduction to the project. Because these executives have been working all day and they're ready to get back to their families, and we've got people on the phone as well. So at 6:30, they're going to all leave. You guys can stay if you want to, but you don't have to stay. And then we'll get into our connection. So what I plan today to do with you guys and gals is to bring a bunch of people together, because today is the beginning of something brand new. And the cool thing about this digital transformation class is that you guys get to define what the future looks like. We're going to break you into two separate teams. Among you, two leaders are going to stand up and say, I want to lead this project. And then you're going to take the materials that we are going through and you're going to apply them to this program that I'm going to define for you today. I'm going to do the best that I can, but the reason I asked Bill to come is because he joined it was DPMA back then, and I'll describe what that means later, in 1972. So he's been here for the whole haul of all the changes that have happened in the industry and in our association. What I see, I'm 58 now. I am the last of the baby boomers, and December 31st, 1964 is when I was born, and 64 is the last of the baby boomers, right? So the last day of the last, that's who I am. But I kind of move into X as well, and I have kids that keep me fresh, but I still don't know. So this is an opportunity too for you guys to listen to what we've done in the industry to strengthen ourselves and our peers and our community, and to say, how does this apply to my generation? That's your generation. And then I'm going to ask you to think, if you have younger brothers and sisters, how about them, right? Were you guys all born with phones? Okay, so you weren't, but the new ones are, right? Maybe some of your younger siblings, or for those of you who have children, they definitely do, right? So my kids didn't have it when they were born, but by the time my oldest, who's 22 now, was 6 years old, I had bought my first Xbox and he and I were playing Halo together. And by the time he was 10, he was kicking my butt and I could not ever compete with him again. So, and then 2006 is when I started working for Microsoft. So I ran with at that time, the world's largest software company for 5 years and had the best of the technology brought into our home, and the kids lived on it, so they know it. So anyway, this is reverse mentoring. You're going to tell us what do you need as you move forward, okay? We're going to talk through 3 books in this class. The first is the Infinite Game. And from my definition of infinite, I think of eternity. So I think that there's a game that I'm going to play for the rest of eternity. Now, you may or may not believe that yourself, but I'm going to challenge you to think about that for the rest of this class. We're going to talk about blue ocean strategy. The net of the blue ocean strategy is everybody else that's doing stuff is in the red ocean. They're trying to fight each other for eyeballs and for competition and for pricing and all kinds of things. And the way to think of it is that red ocean has a bunch of big sharks in it, and they're all biting each other and making the water red. And they're fighting over a territory that's shrinking, right? What we're trying to do is we're trying to build a new ocean that doesn't have any competitors in it, right? So when we look at what we've done as the association as we move forward, what are things that you guys know we need to do in the future that puts us into a no competition space and moves us forward together, right? And then the final book is Empower. Yeah, I'm using Inspire, his other book, in my product management class. This one will kind of bring us down to how do you structure your organization after you know what that strategy is, because I don't want to leave you in the strategy zone. I want you to be able to apply it, and that's where we're going to apply it in this project. So I have you guys doing in the digital transformation class doing part of this. We'll have two projects that come out of this, same material, but you're going to be focused on Blue Ocean and roadmap. What do we need to build? What I'm going to present to you tonight is kind of, from my perspective, a minimally viable product. It's what do we have to have a chapter here at DBU? And then later, what do we need to do in order to make sure that it's really easy for another student group in Dallas College, where Bill teaches, or UTD, where Randall got his MBA, to start a chapter, right? And that's what our desire is. Our desire is to get this ethically based message of hope and of caring and of community out to more students. The product management team is going to focus a little bit more on the details of how you create a chapter in a university. But they may, and probably what I'll do is once you guys have two teams, I will pair you up with the team that's doing the product side, so that as you envision what the future will be, you're feeding to them what that future might be. And then they might be able to bring some stuff into the present. It just depends on how it goes. All right. So I'm the glue in this whole thing. I am number one strength of Gallup is connector. So I see the connections in everything, even if they don't exist, and I bring people together. So that's kind of my role. We have the ABTP International group will start tonight. At the end of this hour, I'm going to bring our first board meeting to actually, I'm going to ask Bill to do it because he'll get the honor of starting it. And then we have 4 board members that have agreed to be on the board. And we're going to start it tonight in your presence. Okay. And then by the end of the semester, the product management team will have started a student chapter. And the only people that can run are people in this class and in the product management class, because you guys are getting the context and you'll be able to help the other students to know. All right. So I'm going to skip these. I don't think they're necessary. They'll be in your deck. So I want to say this up front. And this is partially for you guys in ABTP to understand what I'm doing. But I'm also going to make this recording available to the other board members just so they see it. This was Vinit's idea, and I thought it was a good one. So my life mission, and this is on my LinkedIn profile. So if you go out there, you'll see it. I just broke it into pieces. I've dedicated my life. Yes, sir.
You want to switch?
Oh, I'm sorry. So why is it not showing?
You accidentally touched the screen, so that one.
Oh, I showed that screen?
No, yeah, you touched that screen, so that your presentation went to the side. So you touch on that.
Ah, okay. Sweet, thank you. All right, so my life mission is I dedicate my life to helping leaders at all levels accelerate results in life. And in life, I have an online program brand called Leadership In. This is a for-profit business, but it's like 10% of my time right now. I'm basically just percolating it because I'm learning what your generation and younger need from programming perspective to understand the principles that I have. So I'm not ready to go prime time on it. Then at work, I run Mike, Rochelle and Associates. Randall and I are actually associates, and I have many other associates who are running their own business. And it's a new model. I'm trying to do a blue ocean thing, right, myself, because I don't want to build a big company and a big staff and all that kind of stuff. And there are a lot of us that are in the same space. We have executive level experience at scale, but we don't want to necessarily have all of the overhead of a full-time company with a physical location and all that stuff. Come on in. How are you?
I was late.
It's all right. It is recorded, so you can pick up the first part. And then at school, now, DBU is a not-for-profit, right? I'm doing this at like 10, as teaching that is, at about 10% of my billing rate, maybe less than that, right? It's not something that I'm doing for money. I'm doing it because I love you, and I want you to learn things that I know and that these guys know, so that you don't have to go through some of the pitfalls that we've gone through, and that you can accelerate your career, right? That's why I teach, and I always have. and in their community. And this is the not-for-profit as well, that is the Association for Business Technology Professionals. I'm going to go through the history in a minute, but I wanted you to know what my motivation is, okay? Through human and digital transformation services and solutions, and then on LinkedIn, you can get the rest of the details, what my brands are, all that kind of stuff. That's not my purpose for this class. And then how can I help you grow? That's kind of my motto. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Does that clarify it too? Yeah. All right. So, Bill, do you want me to talk to this, or would you like to talk to it?
I can.
Good, please do.
Okay. Our association was actually formed back in 1952, and it was called the National Machine Accountants Association. And machine accountants were the ones that processed punch cards with punch card equipment, sorters and collators and accounting machines, etc. And they formed the association back in 1952. In 61, they revamped themselves as the Data Processing Management Association because computers were beginning to be used instead of just the tab equipment. And then in 96, the association rebranded itself as the Association of Information Technology Professionals. Instead of being data processing management, we wanted to be information technology professionals. And then in 2019, the Dallas chapter incorporated and became the Association for Business Technology Professionals, DFW. And that's the basic history. Back in about 2015 or 16, AITP was taken over by CompTIA, and we broke away from CompTIA because they wanted to go in a different direction. So, but the idea of the association was that we had a code of ethics and a code of good conduct. We provided educational programs. In the early days, we created the first certification exams in data processing management and in programming. And we actually started certification back in I think the late 50s, early 60s. So long time ago. And so AITP is no longer, it's all CompTIA, and ABTP is the DFW chapter.
Awesome. So Bill, you actually probably know the details behind this better than I do, but I summarized what the situation was in this statement. It was AITP had an expensive service provider. It was a third-party provider in Chicago that provided administration services. An executive director and some IT people to run the systems and all kinds of things like that. And they had board of directors at the national level and at the regional level. So if you think about, I'll go back to the year 2000. I did a customer relationship management assessment of Dow Chemical, and we got rid of the last of the regional offices for them in 2000. Regional sales offices, because what you find out is that having buildings and administrative staff is an overhead to the profitability of your business that you don't need, right? So in 2000, industry was doing that. By about 2016, the AITP couldn't afford to keep running the organization. It was actually insolvent. That's why CompTIA took it over. With the dropping membership, they couldn't pay for association dues. CompTIA took it over. They de-emphasized professional chapters, and then professors at universities didn't want CompTIA because they were providing other certifications and getting remuneration for that. So the whole CompTIA thing killed AITP. It killed the student chapters, and back in the day, every university across this country had a DPMA chapter. I guarantee it, right? So our vision is that we reinstitute all those chapters in the areas, but that we do away with the expensive overhead so that there is no overhead. So when Bill and I rewrote the bylaws for ABTP DFW, we did away with any national structure, with any regional structure. And each chapter is by itself. You could call it a confederation, you could call it cell chapters, if you think about the model, right? Because a cell can function without a headquarters. As long as they know what the marching orders are, which is the bylaws and the code of ethics, then they can run on their own. So we formed the new legal documents without those. And so then what we're saying is that ABTP International will be successful with a blue ocean, low cost, high value offering without legal authority over chapters. We don't want legal authority over the chapters. We want them to listen and use the bylaws and the code of ethics. And as long as they adhere to those, then they can use the ABT brand. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? So these are some of the Lumi things I was telling you guys about. So that was Gustavo. He graduated last semester. There's Glenn. He's in the same place he was when he was in class. That's me. Bersabeh was an Android user, so she could never get it going. But anyway, that was last year's class. And basically what we're saying is that ABTP International will be an online chapter. It'll be doing everything remotely. It's ubiquitous now, ubiquitous. We all use it all day long. We use it in classes all day long. We use it in life. We use it at work. We don't need it. So the challenge that you guys will have is, the other thing is that we always met here in locally on Tuesday night, but many of you have classes on Tuesday night, so you can't go to that. So we need you to look at what is the day that everybody at our university could actually go, at what time, and then set your meetings for that time. Because the chapters, the local chapters, will have in-person meetings. We don't have to replicate everything everywhere. So I sent out a message at the beginning of the week this week, basically announcing that we're doing this international online chapter, and that we're inviting Glenn and Harish and a couple of others to join us on the board. So the mission for this association. So first of all, does everybody have the concept? Are there, in your community, do you have Lions clubs and different associations that get together for different purposes and do good things? Yeah. Most everybody's kind of saying yes. Do you have that in your communities as well? Is it a familiar thing? Okay. Yes or no?
Like, I know, but I'm not joined.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to. All I'm saying is that you understand the concept. I don't have to say what an association is. So our association exists to cultivate a community of ethical, people-oriented business and technology leaders at all levels. So from the beginning, we believe that leadership is who you are, not what your title is, right? And it's situational. You can be a leader at any level in your organization. You might come up with an idea that saves the company, right? That's leadership. And the three things that we do always is we have lifelong learning opportunities. So we have speakers like Randall or Vinod coming in to speak to us about what they're passionate about doing. We have other people who are passionate about other parts of IT and of business technology, and they'll come in and talk about those things. So that's the first thing, relationship building. So it's a way for you to get to know people outside of the classroom for you, outside in industry for others that are in professional chapters. And then paying it forward, because what we're doing is we're going to reverse mentor with you guys, and then we're going to ask you to reverse mentor to the generation below you. In that, though, you're going to get to meet some executives who can introduce you into roles as you graduate, if you decide to stay here in Dallas. So you get to know people as well. So the programmatic theme that I've set, you guys get to set whatever you want, but I said new beginnings for new generations, right? This is a forward-looking exercise that says, okay, that's what those guys have done for 52 or however many years it is. What do we need to do in order to keep that ideal going? And then the membership is business and technology leadership professionals who utilize technology. So this is CFOs, CMOs, CFO is Chief Financial Officer, CMO is Chief Marketing Officer. And we have people that are in those professions that are part of the association. Leadership professionals seeking career growth, students, educators, and retired professionals. So I highlighted the ones that I think are more applicable to you guys. But we have the interesting thing about our association, it's freshman year in college through giving retirement. Now, one of the more controversial ways you could say that it could be cradle to grave. Sorry, Bill. We actually changed it because we didn't want to say that. But the bottom line is, if you like technology and you're going to use it in your career, and that applies to just about everybody now, then this is the place for you. All right, I was going to read the bylaws and the code of ethics. Let me see if I can get access to them. I don't know that I have it. Okay, so I want to show you this. So in your kit, you're going to get the original draft that I drafted and with Bill that we presented to the board. You're going to get the one that the board approved. And then this one that I'm going to share with you represents the only changes that I see that we have to make in order to open this up. So bylaws of Association for Business Technology Professionals. The original was DFW, and that's a specific territory for a particular chapter. So all we would have to do is change that name to international. And then I just did an editorial here that says each subsequent chapter needs to find 5 officers who agree to these bylaws and code of ethics. Change the name here. Subsequent significant changes to the bylaws or code of ethics may necessitate the separation from ABTP brand and will be responsibility of the board in that area. So we're not setting up some sort of an administrative overhead of it. As long as that board thinks that they're adhering to the bylaws as were originally stated, then they're okay to use the brand. So it was originally adopted in February 22nd. I put it in as the 26th, which is today. Again, the name has to change, but the whole document is written to association. So if you change DFW to international, then you have the purposes. It's to provide an organization and leadership to facilitate the exchange of information and experience among members to advance and benefit the field of business technology, to encourage the advancement of the profession of business technology, to organize and conduct courses of study for professional and public to advance the purposes of the association. All actions of the association shall be consistent in conformation with the association's document and practices. The only 2 documents that exist that they have to adhere to are this code of ethics, this bylaws and the code of ethics. We simplified that too. There was a bunch of other stuff. The association shall not undertake any action or practice which would cause it to no longer be eligible for exemption in the 501c6 Internal Revenue Code of 1986, which basically means it can't make money. What we have found out as well, and I put it in the document itself, is the association shall be incorporated with the state of Texas when it is projected to exceed $5,000, because that's the law. As long as an association doesn't make $5,000, it doesn't have to apply, and it doesn't have to report. So if we keep it under $5,000, which should be pretty easy for a student chapter, there is no need to spend $1,508.63, because that's how much.
5,000 in annual revenue, or what is
Yeah, 5,000. Well, and I don't know if that's profit or I will find out. Yeah, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
She just said 5,000. I didn't ask. But the gal that actually did the filing for Bill and I for DFW is the person that gave me that number. So I know it's $1,508.63 to get a new filing done for this chapter. For international, if we get somewhere where we project over $5,000 worth of revenue. The thing about an association is if you're getting $5,000 in revenue, you're going to spend $4,800 back. You know, so it's not, you're not going to make a profit. That's what a not-for-profit is. But it has the same position under the law as a person. That's basically what an association is. So the association accepts and subscribes to the association bylaws. So basically you have to say these bylaws are ones that we accept and we approve. The association, by recommendation of the board of directors, may dissolve itself by majority vote of the entire membership. Classes of association, you asked me this question. I didn't have a ready answer for you. It's in the bylaws. Professional, honorary, student, faculty, staff, corporate, and university. Those are the levels of membership by the bylaws. There are only two people in Dallas that are in the honorary status, and that's Bill and myself. And that's based on years of service. So there's an award called the Distinguished Service Award that we give to people that have 5+ years of service on the board or significant work towards the chapter. Bill surpassed that about 47 years ago. Because he was the president of the DFW chapter some 10 times, probably more than that. As people would leave, he would pick it up and keep it going. And then I've been here for 7 years so far in role, but I've been associated, Bill, since 2006 when I met you and Deborah. Each membership shall have the name of an individual. Corporate and university members may designate one individual or some number of alternates to represent the corporation, university member, and association activities. Such corporate university member representatives have all rights and privileges of membership in the association. Certain categories of honorary memberships qualify to reduce association dues as determined by the association board of directors. Application for membership must be accompanied by payment for all applicable dues in accordance with the procedures established by the association. So the ones that we've established for ABTP International is go to the meetup and pay $15. For you guys, because you're doing this project, you get membership for free. And we haven't had a board meeting until tonight, so we'll find out whether that's for life or how long that is. So if you do a really good job, you might get it for life. Suspension or termination, the board of directors shall have the power to suspend or expel from the association any member for contrary conduct to the code of ethics or the best interest of the association. Continued membership. An association member upon transfer, promotion, or retirement from active business processing activities may continue as a member in good standing of the association, except as otherwise provided in the bylaws and standing rules. And we don't have any exceptions. So you can basically retire and still be a member. Board of directors of the association will be 5 off. There's the president, past president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. Since we don't have a past president because it's a brand new chapter, tonight we'll just have 4 officers that we're presenting. This board of directors shall manage the affairs and assets of the association. Majority of the board members present at a duly called meeting with a quorum shall approve all budgets or unbudgeted expenditures. This is a key, but never more than available funds, and shall be the act of the board of directors unless the vote of a greater number is required by the articles of incorporation of these bylaws. Some things have to go to the members, but right now the only thing in the bylaws is that the voting has to go to the members. Everything else is done by the board of directors. Election and term of office. Officers and directors shall be elected prior to the end of the association fiscal year by the association members from among the members in good standing. Officers shall serve a term of 2 years until his or her successor is elected, or until his successor is elected. Directors shall serve for a term of 1 year until his or her successor is elected. Newly elected officers and directors shall take office on the first day of the fiscal year. So that means that you have to run your association voting in the previous year. So, and I have a chart that gives you all of the dates. Election of officers will occur during a business meeting. Nomination of officers shall be made to the nominating committee. A secretary shall mail a list of those. Now it says mail. That emailing is included in that language from our perspective. Any officer or director may be removed with or without cause by the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members. So you'd have to get all the members together and vote. 2/3 of them would have to vote them out. I'm not going to go through all that. Vacancies. In the event of a vacancy on the board, the remaining member of the board shall appoint a replacement to fill such vacancy. And you'll see there are quite a few vacancies as possibilities anyway. They'll manage and control the assets. So Glenn, this is for you as the treasurer. Funds may be raised by annual dues or any other manner approved by the board. All assessed dues for each member shall be paid to the association. Board of directors shall levy additional dues in whole dollar amounts for the sole benefit of the association. All assessed dues in the association will be payable on such dates and in such manner as prescribed by the board of directors. So basically, the meeting system that we're using does annual dues, and this, when you sign up, it automatically sets your date as that's the due date for next year. So dues are annual. Members who have not paid their dues by a specific date after the final invoice will be dropped and cease to be members. From my perspective, we don't drop association with people. We'll keep them in the system. I don't know how the meeting system does that. Maybe they actually are gone. So we may need to take another dump the members out on a regular basis so we can keep marketing them. Any member may resign at any time. Such resignation should not become effective until accepted by the board of directors of the association, and all dues and obligations of the association have been paid in full. Those submitting resignation shall not be entitled to rebate of dues past. The association fiscal year will coincide with the calendar year. Board of directors shall have no power to assume liabilities on behalf of the association for an amount in excess of the current funds. That's pretty easy. It's just basically a cash-based treasury, Glenn. So we don't sign up for things that we don't have money to do is what the bottom line is. In the event of the dissolution, after paying or making provision and payment all the liabilities, the board of directors shall distribute any remaining funds and assets to other organizations at such time that qualify as tax exempt under 506C or 501(3) by the IRS code. So they could do it to a not-for-profit or a non-profit. We use the standing rules approval orders. Somewhere it has it in here. It's Robert's Rule of Orders. Maybe it be in this section. It says what the officers are. I'm not going to go through this. It's pretty straightforward. What the duties of the president, the vice president are. Basically, the vice president is instead of the president. If the president's not there, then they assume all the responsibilities of the president. Duties of the secretary and treasurer. Secretary will take minutes, Harish, of the record and record attendance of the board of directors. Oops. Sorry. Oops, that's wrong. And then the treasurer shall receive and disperse funds of the association. There will be an annual business meeting. The secretary is to send out a message. The board of directors will meet a minimum of 4 times each year. It was 6, but because this particular board is an online association, we don't have chapter meetings. We're not going to have those kinds of things. It's 4 times. President shall notify each officer and director at least 10 days in advance of such meeting. Board of directors shall determine the time and place of meetings. Special meetings can be brought up. It gives how you should do voting. It says what a quorum is. A quorum is more than 50% of either the members or the directors. There it is. Robert's Rule of Order is the way that we run things. There are established committees that are possibilities, but the board can bring up any, for instance, technology is not in here, but we could very easily add that because that's just under the jurisprudence of the board. Staffing of committees, service groups, committee chairperson, service group chairperson shall be members in good standing. Shall be appointed by the president or his designee. There'll be members in good standing. It looks like that sentence is repeated. I'll fix that. Committee service group chairpersons may be removed from their responsibilities as consideration necessary by written notice of any officer with concurrence of the president. Responsibilities of the committees, what they are. There should be a written report of each activity of each committee. That's an interesting thing that I didn't remember. The association does not discriminate on the basis of race, sex, religion, national origin, gender preference, age, or disability, and shall abstain from any political or labor affiliation or endorsements for public office. The association's emails, websites, and social media shall be the official publication of the association. So it's pretty straightforward. We'll keep the records and the complete books so that, Glenn, one of the things that the treasurer has to do is to do an annual IRS report after we get beyond $5,000. These bylaws might be altered by a supermajority of 2/3 of the association members. So this has to be a board meeting where you bring everybody together and you have a meeting with all the members present. And that's pretty much it. That's the end of the bylaws. So they're really streamlined and simple. I'm gonna read the beginning of the Code of Ethics. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So the only thing I had to do here was change the name and take DFW off on the body. And that's pretty much consistent throughout the whole document. So the beginning of the Code of Ethics basically says, as a member, I acknowledge that I have an obligation to the highest ideals of virtuous leadership and management. Therefore, I shall promote the understanding of business technology methods and procedures to my customers, associates, and peers, using every resource at my command. That I have an obligation to my fellow members, therefore I shall hold the highest ideals of ABTP, there's a good take out, as outlined in the association bylaws. I shall cooperate with my fellow members and shall treat them with honesty and respect at all times. That I have an obligation to the society and will participate to the best of my ability in the dissemination of knowledge pertaining to the general development and understanding of virtuous business technology. So what this does then, it breaks down that if you have knowledge that's of confidential nature, that you're going to keep it confidential, either from your college or university or from your country or from your organization. These ethics came from the original association. We did update them, Bill and I did, based on modern language. We changed it to business technology instead of information technology, for instance. But most of the language is pretty much standard and has been for a long time. You'll have access and you can go through these at your discretion. What we do is that we ask each board member and each partner that signs up to be a partner of Affinity to sign these documents. What I would like to do is to put this in the system so that every member, whenever they are signing up, has to review the documents and then agree to them before they sign up. That way, there's no question about what we're about, right? Whether that's available or even possible in the system that we're using, that's for you guys to figure out. All right, now that took a little bit of time, but it's important because foundational things matter, right? So you see that what we're about is ethical use of business technology. That's actually directly applicable to this class as well, because we're going to talk about, and I'm going to redefine it with you, that it's really human and digital transformation. Because the only things that really transform is your mind, right? And when you transform your mind and then you document your mind into a system, then you are controlling how that digitization is happening. And there's a lot of conversation regarding AI and whether we're going to cede ourselves to that. But even today, it still takes a human to tell the machine what to do. It still takes a human to perfect what the machine is outputting back to you. And I think that there is a difference between a human and a technology that's significant, and we'll talk about that later. That has nothing to do with this. So as of today, I asked Bill to be my co-president, but he doesn't want to do that because he is retired. So he's going to be my primary advisor as vice president. Secretary is Harish Rajagopalan. Harish actually was on the board before I was, when I moved or when I came into Dallas. And then the treasurer will be Glenn Evans. We have quite a few other people, some that are here and some that are on the phone that I've talked to, asking for them to be on the board as well. And then we have a bunch of program chairs that are open, right? I put myself into a couple of them that are key, the university chair and the sponsorship chair, because I already have sponsors and we'll bring them into this as a part of the relationships that I have. All right, so Bill, can you bring us to order?
He's on mute.
Bill, you're on mute. Okay, so I'll bring this, well, we have to have it now. Bill, are you there?
I'm sorry, I had muted myself.
Okay, great. Can you take the honor of bringing us to order, the board meeting?
Yes, sir. The initial board of directors meeting of ABTP International is now convened.
All right,
And
so
it's 6:22.
very good. So Harish, if you could document that time. And for the record, I'm going to say again that I'm signing up as president. Bill is the vice president. Harish is the secretary, and Glenn is the treasurer. So can somebody put a motion together before the board that I can bring to vote?
I'll make a motion to confirm the officers as you read them, Mike.
Okay, so Harish, if you can document that, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, so Bill Fly seconds. Is there any discussion among the board members on the beginning of this journey as a new chapter?
I have one thing, Mike, for the record, please change the spelling of my name. I actually have two N's in Glenn.
I will fix that. So Harish, if you can add two N's to Glenn's name. Sorry, Glenn.
It's okay.
I knew that, I just didn't do it. Okay, so there are 4 members of this board, of this association at this point. So we have a motion to begin this chapter. We have a second from Bill Fly. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have anybody that abstains? Do we have anybody that's nay? Okay, so the motion passes unanimously. And at this time, I'll close the board meeting.
Mike, one more point of order.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Bersabeh Alemu for member at large candidate. I believe you already have her listed as somebody you requested, but I think she's texting me, asking me a question. Bersabeh, you want to chime in?
Okay, so I unclosed the meeting.
Yeah.
So Bersabeh, is that indeed your desire?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, so you'd like to be a member at large?
Member at large for this.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So Harish, can you add her to the board roster?
Sure, Mike.
I will ask somebody to make a motion, though. We actually need to do it legally. So Glenn, do you want to do it since you
Sure.
brought it up?
I'll make a motion to add Bersabeh Alemu as member at large.
And I will second.
And then Bill Fly seconds. Is there any discussion on that topic? Okay, very good. For all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any members that abstain from voting? Are there any members that say nay? Okay, unanimously, Bersabeh, you are a board of directors member at large. Okay, are there any other points of order before I close the meeting? Anything from the galley? Anything at all?
I made an observation. There's an
Sure.
observation. In the roles and responsibility description, there is no description about the member at large. The roles and responsibilities of member at large. If that could be incorporated, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I mean, basically they have no portfolio. That's the whole definition. So you just said we should say that.
Yeah, you should specify.
That's a good point. All right, any other comments? So Harish, did you get that?
Yes, yes.
The recommendation, I think that's a good one. I'll add it. Bill, do we need to take a vote on that or is that good?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. All right, thank you. Good. Anything else from anybody?
I'm open and willing to take any roles you need help with. I don't know if this is very formal and I've never done this. So I almost missed the boat and Glenn got me.
That's all right. We'll work on that in the subsequent months, Bersabeh. So at this point, we are basically going to show up at the next time, and I have a date here, and I'll show it in a second, when we're going to get together again.
I think you have a point.
I think I don't know if I'm right or wrong, the potential program chairs, there is no, like, there is marketing chair, membership chair, sponsor chair. Why there is no sales chair? There's sales chair, because everything is like, what the intention is business and growing or adding values to the organization.
Right.
So there should be one sales chair. Why is not? Because
I mean, most associations don't have a sales organization, although I guess Tech Titans does, but they're a for-profit, aren't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, the question then is, what are you trying to sell?
Yeah. I mean, it's an online association, so marketing should be able to carry.
I think the sales is accomplished through the membership chair and through the sponsorship. Those are two sales committees to attract members and sponsors.
no, I completely disagree. If there is a business, there is a number, then there should be sales. At the end of the business cycle, there should be numbers reflected that what is the KPIs and who have done what is the return on investment.
So we're here to learn. I'm going to put it in there, and you guys tell us what they do. How about that? Are you a sales guy? Is that you have been, right?
Yeah.
So you want to see yourself? You want to see yourself in there? You're there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I'm not discounting that, but just as a matter of debate here, right? A non-profit organization or not-for-profit organization, what are they selling? The basic question.
They're selling the ideals,
Right.
and then membership is the outcome, or association through. It's a good point.
So attracting more sponsors,
Correct.
attracting more membership.
Or membership.
Okay, so I think whenever you guys come up with that idea, I would say that there should be a stated goal for each of these program chairs as to what they want.
Just to extend his point, there should be one ICP. What is called as ideal customer profile. What is the ICP of this ABTP? And who are your target customer? Because we cannot run to every organization.
So ICP came from strategic selling. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. I have a couple more things, so bear with me for just a second, Randall.
Can I add one thing? Mike?
Sure, Bill.
The difference between a nonprofit and a not-for-profit is that the nonprofit can accept donations and people can take tax deductions for those donations. A not-for-profit cannot accept tax deductible donations. They can have programs which raise money, etc., but all that money has to go back into programs, etc., so that there's not any profit made. But that doesn't mean that you can't take in more than you spend to build up some reserves, etc. But you have to make sure those limited. But the primary difference is C3s, nonprofits can accept tax deductible donations.
All right, so all of the things have been added to the slide. When we have our first board meeting, we'll talk about adding the definitions to the bylaws. I don't think that's a hard task to do. So it's good ideas. Are there any other comments that we need to do before I close the meeting? This is the board meeting. And I'm going to ask for you guys to give me 5 minutes.
Okay.
Any other things? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting. So Harish, the meeting ends at 6:32 or whatever time it is by your clock.
6:31.
Thank you.